Hello, everyone. This is attorney Robin McCoy. It's Sunday, May 17th, and this is Robin Legal. I have been wanting to launch this YouTube website for the longest time, and so I just decided to go ahead and take a deep dive and do it. So here we are. So my name is Robin McCoy, and I'm an attorney. I have been practicing law for 18 years. I practice in the Metro Detroit area, specifically in Wayne County, Michigan, Wayne County, Michigan, Washtenaw County, Michigan, also Oakland County, Michigan. I specialize in criminal defense, family law, educational advocacy, and estate planning. I also am a partner with my firm of McCoy and Associates, with my father and McCoy and Associates, and he's been practicing for 38 years. And our firm, we do wrongful death cases, personal injury, commercial litigation. You can check out our firm website by going to mccoyandassociates.com. You can check out my website by going to robinlegal.com. And so what we're going to talk about today is a topic that I have been talking about for a number of years on what to do when stopped by the police. And I'll first start with why I decided to become a lawyer. I decided to become a lawyer. I was 14 and I was looking at the inequities in the system, and with the way that African American males are treated in the system, and I decided I would become a lawyer to help the brothers in the system. And so I made that decision early on. I was blessed. I had a father who was a lawyer, and I just made that decision, and I went on that path, and I've been practicing. I've been doing criminal defense cases ever since. What started me doing programming on what to do when stopped by the police, I had to do with, just when I was seeing some of the atrocities that were happening in our society. Starting with like stuff from the wannabe cops, like from Trayvon Martin, and then what happened with Michael Brown, Tamir Rice. We've got these most recent situations with Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor. You just keep seeing all these situations that are happening, and you feel upset, and you want to do something about it. And for me, I felt like, okay, I'm a lawyer. A lot of us criminal defense attorneys, we also we tend to be coming in on cases to do damage control. And we're really, when we engage with a client, a lot of times it's when it's like at a crisis phase. We're typically going to visit clients. We see you in jail, or we see you in court when you've had charges against you, and we get the discovery, we go over the case with you. But a lot of times we're coming in after a lot of things have already gone on in the case, so we don't have control over what happened prior to us getting on the case. And then we go in on the case, we assess the case, see what can be done to help the clients. If it's a scenario where you need to go to trial, you go to trial. If it's a plea, you're trying to work out a plea. But you're also got to be cognizant of what's in the best interest of your client, because you have situations where people will plead to offenses and it will affect them for the rest of their lives. We do have in Michigan, we have an expungement statute. Presently, it's if you have 1 felony and 2 misdemeanors for certain offenses, you can get your record cleared. But as I've practiced for 18 years, you've got a lot of folks that have more than 1 felony. And you've had folks that get caught up with the whole the prison industrial complex, where they're going after folks for dealing with selling cocaine and marijuana, things of that nature. Or you just have young people that make mistakes, and they'll have more than 1 felony. But I've had people that have had 10, 20, 30 years where they've made mistakes, and then they've stopped their behavior, and then we try to go in and get the records expunged. Sometimes we'll have success, but it's limited right now. In Michigan, there is a movement underway to expand the expungement statute. I did see in Ohio, and other places, California, other places that have more expansive expungement statutes, and I would like to see that happen in Michigan. So I was recruited by my mentor, Judge Deborah Thomas, years ago to start doing workshops on expungement, educating people about how to set aside their convictions. And so I'll be doing some videos and talking about that. I'll go over the application, explain to you how you can get your record expunged. If you can afford a lawyer, then you can reach out to myself, and I have other colleagues that are doing this work. If you can't afford a lawyer, I'll go over the process and explain how you can do it without a lawyer. But I talk about what to do when stopped by the police because I think it's important that people know their rights. Knowledge is power. This is Sunday. They talk about in scripture, my people perish for lack of knowledge. And so the more people know about certain things, I would hope that they can avoid being caught up in the system. And so I'm going to go over some basic things. I do have a Robin Legal website, and where you can go and see some of my other videos. You can ask questions. So as far as what to do when stopped by the police. So I'll start with a basic scenario. What might happen, what is likely to happen. Like, let's say the police come in and knock at your door. So if the police have been called there by you or someone, obviously, then, you would let them in and deal with whatever emergency or crisis situation that you have. But let's say you haven't called the police and they're knocking at your door. You don't have to let them in. They have to have a search warrant, and the search warrant is supposed to be limited to them searching the items that are designated in the search warrant. And the significance of me saying that you don't have to just let them in is that I've had situations where the police are let in and they find something. Maybe they were searching, maybe they were dealing with something next door, and if there's spillover and they come next to your house and you let them in, and you want to be conciliatory to the police because they are the police, you're respecting authority. But the problem with that is if you let them in your house and they find something there in your house that's illegal, drugs, guns, maybe you have a relative or somebody that has something that's not proper, then if you get charged and you come to me and you say, Attorney McCoy, they came in my house and they found this and I got charged, and I'm like, well, did you consent to them coming in your house? Oh, yes, I consented. Okay, well, then I can't file a motion to suppress whatever they found as the fruit of the poisonous tree because you let them in, And so that's why it's significant that you don't just let them in. Some people, when the police come to their door, they'll open the window and they'll say, what's going on? Or how can I help you? And they'll talk to the police from the window. Some people just don't answer the door. I know my mom is from the South Side of Chicago. She's just like, if people come to her door and she didn't call them, it don't matter who it is, unless it's an emergency. Now, caveat, if there's an emergency and you call them, that's one thing. But if you didn't call them, you got to be very careful there. So that's one scenario about them coming to the door. The other scenario, and you see Breonna Taylor's situation, that's unfortunate. I mean, from what I understand, she and her boyfriend are asleep and they came to the wrong house, and now they're trying to trump up some charges against the boyfriend. I know my colleague attorney Ben Crump is on that case, and I've talked to some of my colleagues' friends that are police officers, and they said that was messed up. They didn't even understand what was going on there. And then we also have, the Ahmaud Arbery case, and with that, they weren't even real cops. So, wannabe cops, just craziness going on. So another scenario is if you're walking along and the police come up and they want to question you. It depends on the circumstances. So let's say you're out and it's late at night and like you're a minor and they get a call that there's some suspicious activity, under Terry versus Ohio, they are permitted to come up and talk with you. They can do a pat down, things like that. What I would advise is if they come up and they say, okay, what are you doing out here? You could just say, I'm on my way going somewhere, and they say, okay, well, we want to take you in for questioning. You want to ask them politely, respectfully, officer, am I under arrest? Because if they say no, then say, officer, I would respectfully like to leave, and then just leave. There are certain situations, if they see what they feel to be suspicious activity, they may come and do a light pat down on you. This is not the time for you to argue with them and get into a debate. Some people I know, when I was at law school, I went to University of Michigan Law School, and our professor Yale Kamazar, he was talking about the disparity of treatment with black males as opposed to white males. He said that when he was younger, that they would, if they were doing stuff, the police would come up and warn them and let them go. But we don't always see that with African American males, and which is unfortunate. We have this American apartheid system where there's disparity, and it's unfortunate because people should have the opportunity to grow out of their stupidity. There's studies that show the adult brain doesn't fully mature to the age of 25. But what's unfortunate with black men in America, they don't get a chance to even mature before they in some instances they're getting harassed by the police. And even past that, no matter what, you're a black person in America. And I just think that there should be fairness. But from what we've seen, we don't see fairness. Like in my line of work, who do I typically see? I'm seeing disproportionate numbers of African American males, females, poor people, people who have mental health issues, a lot of working class white folk. You have other people, the elite folk that can afford a lawyer, things like that, or maybe they live in certain neighborhoods where they're not even profiled. They don't have to go through some of the experiences that a lot of us, a lot of black folk and a lot of working class folk, white and black, have to go through, and it's unfortunate. So the other scenario, which is one of the bigger scenarios, is what do you do when the police stop you in your car? And, I've partnered with Detective Brian Fountain from the Detroit Police Department. We do programs. I know he's done programs. I've done programs. We come together talking to kids and adults about this issue. So, if you're pulled over, if the police come up on you, you want to pull over safely right away. If it's nighttime, roll all your windows down, turn on the lights. Now, again, this is if you don't have anything in your car. If you got stuff in your car, just roll the window down, be polite, respectful. So this advice that I give you, it's got to be specific to whatever your situation is. And so don't be rude. If they say, can I have your license and registration? Hand them your license and registration and be respectful. But, keep your hands on the wheel when they first stop you. Don't make any sudden moves and just say, officer, can I move? My license and registration is in my glove compartment or it's in my pocket. And just ask before you do anything, because again, we don't know where the police are coming from. What did they just deal with? Did they just deal with a jumpy situation where somebody pulled out a gun or somebody was aggressive with them and they had to react? We don't know. So we got to, again, be respectful. Get them the information. You can record, you can have your phone on and record what's going on. Some people, I think a lot more of us should have, I know you can get at Walmart, you can get the cameras that you have on the car so the camera can be videotaping everything that's going on. I know that we have had progress where the police have body cams, and that can be helpful as far as showing who's telling the truth, things like that. But the police can also turn those off. So if you have your own item, just put it up on the window, your phone, press play, Facebook Live, record it. And if they ask you your name, give your real name. Don't give a fake name, because if you give a fake name, you get charged for giving a fake name. And let them go check your information. And then if you don't have license or insurance, just be honest. And if you don't have insurance and maybe you don't have your insurance card on you, you can talk to a lawyer later on. That may be a situation we can fix. Don't run, because a lot of time, either on the street or in the car, don't run, because a lot of times people run and it makes things worse, than if they just would sit still. And I mean, I know I put on my Facebook video about, there was an officer who said, well, if a person runs, you shouldn't, because there's people been shot in the back, things like that. That's wrong. That's not proper. But don't run. Take some deep breaths. I pray. I'm a praying person. Pray on it and give them your real name. And then if they ask you, well, do you know why I stopped you? You don't have to engage, because I don't know, again, you may get a lawyer and want to contest it. So you don't want to make any statements that can be used against you in court. So just say, officer, this is my name. And, I've been advised by counsel not to say anything. And if they look up your information, they don't find anything, and they let you go on your way, you go on your way. If you have problems with the way they handled it, then you get the name and the badge, and you report it to their internal affairs, or you call the ACLU. You can call the National Bar. We have Black attorneys there that can help. You can call. We have the Criminal Defense Bar, which is comprised of criminal defense attorneys that will help. But your goal is to get home to tell the tale of what happened with you. I don't want to see videos. I've had some people show me videos of them fighting with the police, and I'm like, no, that's not what this is about. They're like, I know my rights, and I mean, I've seen some videos with some white folks, and they get all have an attitude with the police, and then they don't have issues or problems, and then Black folks, and I mean, it shouldn't be that way. That there's a disparity in treatment, but there is, and you get what we talk about with Detective Fountain, we talk about comply now, complain later. We want you to live to tell your tale. And so you pull over, roll your windows down. As I said, if you have nothing to hide, if they ask to search your car, you can say politely, officer, I'm declining, because again, just like if they search your house and they find something, and if you gave consent, we won't be able to suppress it. Now, if they say, get out the car, you get out the car. You can get out the car and say, I don't consent, but just get out the car, let them do whatever they're going to do, and then bring it to us as lawyers later on to try to challenge whatever they've done. Be compliant, be respectful, do not run, and live to tell your tale. And if you're really upset about how all this stuff is going on, because it just seems like it's just a brutal cycle, look from Emmett Till up into the present. We keep having these situations with the police or the wannabe police here in America that that just want to come after us, profile us, Black men, women, and children. Then maybe you might. I just talked to one of my cousins. He's going to school to become a police officer. So you might be meant to go become a police officer to work from the inside. I have some of my guidebooks I use when I do my programs on what to do when stopped by the police. One of them was an activist. He became a police officer. So that if you really feel passionate about it, that may be your way to go. And then also I'll say this, because when I do my programs and the kids talk to me and they say, okay, you're telling us about what to do and stop by the police. Yeah, I'll say this, the police need to police themselves, because I think that most police are good, but there are some bad apples out there. I know I teach a class, and we were just talking in the class, and they were talking, we were reading Ben Crump's book, The Legalized Genocide of Colored People. And they were talking about how they believe that there are some police officers, some KKK folk that have infiltrated the police department. So if you're there and you know about that, then you need to get on it. You need to regulate, because if you're not regulating, other people, you could be put at harm based on the actions of the people in your department. And then we also see that there's an issue with prosecutors. We need to make sure that we have more progressive prosecutors that are either the ones that are there that are somewhat progressive. We as a people need to make them accountable when they're up for re-election, or even before that. Make sure that they're accountable. Yes, they have a duty to protect the public and keep them safe, but that doesn't mean that they should just run over everybody's rights. There's a presumption of innocence until proven guilty. And but in America, a lot of times it's like you're guilty. It's the reverse. It's the reverse experience, and it shouldn't be that way, because there are people. We have the Innocence Project. We see that there are people that are innocent that have been caught up. They've been tricked. And another thing I'll say is, don't give a statement. Don't write out a statement. Don't give a statement to the police. Ask for a lawyer, because a lot of times, the police, the way it works out is they write up a report, they give it to the prosecutor decides whether to charge the case. So and then a lot of times my clients say to me, we look over the statement. That's not what I said. That's not how it happened. Well, okay, you shouldn't have said anything. Don't zip it. Don't say anything. Ask for a lawyer, and the lawyer will say, don't say anything. Don't help make a case. There may be no case against you, and then you help them make a case. And I mean, that's what I'll just say this as a criminal defense attorney. A lot of times we're not always running to trial. I have to look at each case and each factual scenario. And the prosecutors, sometimes they'll set it up like it's a slam dunk. And they've coached the police. They've shown the police how to do it properly. That the police, like I had a guy who had an armed robbery case They had found evidence of the armed robbery, and the officer brought him in and tricked him into giving a confession. His girl had been in there, and his girl was like, I'm not saying anything. Like I'm telling y'all, I want a lawyer. And they stopped questioning her. And then they brought him in there and they said, well, your girl was just here and she spilled the beans. And she did. And she didn't spill the beans, but he was tricked into confessing. And then he comes to me and he wants me to make a miracle out of his situation. And I'm like, they got a confession, they got evidence. I mean, there's only so much I can do. And so that's the takeaway. I'm going to end the video now. It's 20 minutes. So if you have questions, you can check me out at robynlegal.com. Robyn is ROBYN legal.com. And then, I also, my office is 734-769-0001. As I said, I do criminal defense, family law, educational law, and estate planning. And just be safe. And again, part of why I do these programs, you'll see me too. I'll probably be bringing in some of the police. I look at this as a dance, and I'm trying to have this as a dance where both sides get out safely and have the least consequences as possible. So it's just, I think, as I said, I think most police are good, but there are some bad apples out there. So it's incumbent on us to weed them out, but to be able to make sure you do this safely. Get home to tell your tale. And if you really are emphatically upset about what's going on, it may be your call to become a police officer or to become a prosecutor and change the system from within. So thank you, and everybody have a blessed evening.